Are you stuck in a world that threatens you? Do you enjoy gambling but are afraid to because you feel you will get in trouble? Does the fact that the government gets to control who gets to gamble and where burn a fire in your soul? Well then, what can be done to stop the overreach of governments that enjoy telling you what you cannot do, then turn around and do it themselves? One word, fellas: decentralise. The decentralised blockchain is the only technology that can do this. Same technology that the programmable currency that is called Bitcoin runs on. You see, they can't stop Bitcoin. No matter how many regulations they speak of, you can just laugh at them. Well, prepare for waves of decentralised applications to start ruling out markets, giving us the freedoms our ancestors once had. vdice.io is the latest in decentralised gambling that will bring us games like poker and craps. Visit vdice.io and become a supporter of freeing us of the shackles that bind us down in our tyrannical society. If not for you, do it for the freedom of future generations, giving them the freedom to be entrepreneurs in niches only governments profit from. Do it and know that you are supporting a blockchain technology that cannot be shut down unless they shut down the whole internet. Visit vdice.io today.
Core Media. Blockchain news, crypto crews and interviews, keeping you tuned in to the ecosystem.
Hello and welcome to Core Radio. This is Lutz coming to you live on a Monday night. Not a typical weekend show, but we didn't have one this weekend, so I thought it was a good time to get one done. This evening we have a special guest and a very, very exciting project. The project is called Chronobank. Now, sounds really cool. Sounds like, something reflective. Chronobank is going to be one of the decentralized applications on the Waves platform. And as you all know, Waves went full node this weekend. Congratulations, Waves. Now we are fully decentralized. That's what the full nodes do for us. I have Sergei from Australia. He's here with us to talk about Chronobank. Say hello, Sergei.
Yeah, how are you guys? Nice to be here. Thank you, Angelo, for inviting us. And it's nice and warm here in Australia at the moment. We're just coming into summer.
Stop you making me jealous, man. It's freezing my ass off over here.
We're also upside down now. So I guess that's something of what do you call it? Something to look forward. Something good on your side anyway.
So you started the Chronobank, right? You're the CEO.
Yeah, mate. I'm the CEO, and we started Chronobank with Alex. I think you've heard about Alex, and he's our marketing guy, and also, and we do it together, yeah.
Right, you and Alex, and so what's Chronobank about? I know it works on the Waves platform, or will work on the Waves platform, right?
Yeah, Waves will be one of the chains that we use, right? So among Ethereum, NEM, and plenty of others. I mean, but Waves is a good one to start because we have a very good relationship with Waves guys, and we think that working together and collaborate is better than working apart, so to speak. And basically, what Chronobank is about is we looked long and hard at the current state of economy in the world, right? And we've seen that there are a few problems with it. And one of the main ones is that after Bretton Woods, essentially, the currency is not supported by anything, right? So in other words, if you come to the bank or come to anywhere and decide to claim it, and at the moment, and the government says, you know what, we're not longer honoring any currency, well, you're stuffed. as opposed to prior to 71, there was gold there, right? And we thought of a resource, that's abundant enough for everyone to have access to, yet scarce enough to be valuable. And such resource is time, people's time. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a currency that is backed by people's work, essentially. Luckily, we already work in the space in Australia. Luckily we already work in the space in Australia. So we got.
So.
Yeah, man.
So that saying time is money is true.
Well, we sure as hell
you can't buy time.
We sure as hell trying to make it so.
All right. So basically our fiat currencies, which here in the United States has not been backed by anything since the 1970s. You're correct, and any currency that has inflation and is not backed by anything is doomed to fail. Always.
Well, see the. See the problem with US dollar. The problem with the US dollar, right, is that it's the machine that prints it doesn't stop, right? It keeps on going. For the last 5 years, it hasn't stopped.
Right.
Now the thing.
Quantitative easing. Yep.
That's right, man. Now the thing is, if you're talking about any other country, if we talk about Australia, right, and say we nominally have only $100 Australian in Australia, right, and then Australian government decides, you know what, we're going to print another 100, right? Now what we're going to have 100% inflation, right? In America, it's not the case. And the reason it's not the case because over 90% of American currency is in fact outside of America. So when the government doubles the America, what you would have, if, for example, you have $100 in America, right, and we double that mass, right? So overall, the inflation is not going to be 100. It's going to be spread among all the other holders of American currency, including all the reserves of other countries and everything.
Right, due to remittances.
Yeah, that's correct, man. So the remittances and the currency is held in reserve by other governments, and so in America it's a unique situation where the government can essentially print it and slowly deteriorate the value of everyone else's dollars, right? Well, their dollars, but the ones that everyone else is holding, and that's why inside America it's not such a big problem.
Right. That was the reason for Brexit. So you're trying to turn time into value.
That's correct. We're trying to tokenize time, essentially. It's quite a challenge, I must say, because it's not a static value, right? So it's not a static thing. So it's dynamic and a lot of challenges associated with it, right? With such as productivity, location, and all those other things. We designed a system that's pretty close to solving all these issues.
All right. So if I wanted to get involved, how would this work? How does Chronobank work exactly?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
So basically, guys, we're running ICO from 15th of December for 2 months until 14th of February, and we're releasing a token called Time. Now that's going to be the token that will assign that will be traded, right? So that's what we use to fund the rest of the operations. Now, once that is done by end of February, we should release a stable labor hour token, which will be used for transactions between people, and that's the one that's going to be inflation proof, as it will be tied to an average labor cost in underlying countries in underlying jurisdictions that we work in. So essentially, I mean, you can join the ICO, and the first day you will offer 30% bonus, and the first week 20% bonus from 15th of December, and the first, I think, 2 weeks is 10% bonus, and become part of the community. You there, man?
All right. So if in a real world situation, how would it work? Is it like Fiverr, where you do some work for somebody and you get paid with the token?
Well, there's two things here. Okay, let's talk about stage one, for example. Stage one is the token itself, right? So in the real world, for example, if you get paid in Bitcoin today, right, and one, like say, half a Bitcoin buys you 5 lunches. Okay, now for all you know, that by the end of the week, that 5 lunches will become 4 because the Bitcoin is volatile, right? Having said that, it can become also 6, right? So, but you can't run a family budget based on that. So that's why we're trying to we get in the currency that's stable enough for every person to use. That's one thing. Second stage is what we call labor X, right? Where labor exchange is effective. Okay, so what that means is if you're a worker, right, and you have your reputation there, and we'll do our best to make like reputational will be based on blockchain, so it's not, you can't alter it, right? So that should give it some credibility. You have hours to sell, so for whoever wants to buy some hours, right, to I don't know, to dig a trench or something in their backyard. So they would go in and say, okay, I need 5 people for 2 weeks. Excuse me. And whoever wants to supply, they would come in and say, okay, well, I can do the first week, but I can't do the second and third, right? And then somebody else comes in, okay, I can't do the first, I can do the third. And then somebody else comes in and says, okay, I'll do second, right? And the people that bid for this job, right, they would be able to put their own rates based on their reputation. In other words, an average person would demand an average wage per hour, and the better person would demand a multiple of the average. By the same token, the worst person would only be able to demand a fraction of the average, and basically using a lot of people, the customer will be able to fulfill the need for essentially for the trench.
Gotcha. So how do you so there's going to be a reputation system? Is that what determines who is on a more professional level and who's on a more novice or more beginner type level?
That's correct. From all the experience in labor industry here in Australia, what we found is that sometimes you can get a guy that can deliver as much as 3 people can, right? A lot of the times you'll get a guy that can't even deliver what he's supposed to, so to speak, right? And most of the time you get an average guy that can only deliver whatever is expected from an average guy. Now we think it's wrong that all of them get paid the same, right? So that's what we're trying to change. And by the same token, we're trying to make sure that the ones that are below average have a massive motivation to become at least an average, to start receiving the wages that the better people get. Now that runs into a bit of a problem in Australia here, right? Because of the minimum wages. But I mean, minimum wages and average wage are quite different. So in any case, they will not get paid less than a minimum. So I guess that's, I guess that problem is solved.
So how does the reputation system work? Is it like how does the reputation system determine the quality of somebody's work? Because it could show probably how much work he's done and how much experience he has, but it doesn't necessarily mean, he has quality work, right? It just means he did a lot of work.
Well, yeah, basically the reputation would rely on the feedback from the people in companies that engaged the person in the past, right? Off the start, they would be assigned a nominal one, say 3-star, if we're talking about star reputation system, and then based on that, they'll either be feedback from the work they completed. It will either go up or down.
I see. So there's a star system. So people could, like this guy did 5 out of 5 stars, right? And that'll determine how good his work is according to the people who bought his work.
Essentially, yeah, that's it. So that's the idea. So, and then, I mean, here we essentially what we're trying to do, like if we talk about labor hire industry in Australia, right, and labor supply industry, right, what we do here is essentially take on responsibility as a company. We take on responsibility of the payments to the workers and all the insurances and statutory obligations, and what we give in return is basically just a worker at a certain rate. So in other words, in our case, for example, we charge $36 an hour, and we pay the guy 25 plus his pension plus his other allowances, right? And the idea here is that companies such as us, well, Edway rather, like it's at the moment the business is run old school, right? It's all over the phone. It's all over the phone on paper, etc. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to automate the process, but at the same time giving more money back to the people, essentially. And in terms of reputation system, once again, yes, it's a, like, let's call it star system for now. It will be basically increased if the feedback is good, and decreased if the feedback is bad. As simple as that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. I understand that. And so if somebody wanted to get involved, they would go onto a website and they would offer their services.
Well, yeah, that's the idea. Once
And
the
also,
labor expert,
also,
yeah, man.
I was just gonna, and does everybody start on a clean slate when you first come out? Like, or is there a way to prove that, this person's been proficient in this industry for the last 10 years,
Yeah, man. Basically, once the platform is released, by all means, everyone's welcome to join it, right? And we're anticipating to be released this time next year, right? In terms of everyone starting a clean slate, in Australia, we'll be able to classify it more or less, right? Because we have very kind of good government classifications of work here. In some sort of clean slate or some sort of system is yet to be decided, so to speak. We're tossing a few in our meetings at the moment that will determine off the bat if the person is fair, bad, or average, essentially. I mean, probably it'll have something to do with experience of the particular person.
All right. It does. Is this a fully decentralized system?
Well, at the start, to get it going, it'll have to be somewhat centralized, right? Because we'll have to get the people in it. But the idea that later on, when Labor X kicks in, we'll make it decentralized, and we're making it open source. So because we understand that we ourselves will not be able to integrate it in every country, so we're making it open source for people that want to join us and want to help us, and will help themselves to actually implement it in their own respective jurisdictions.
All right. And how you mentioned earlier that it's going to work on other platforms like Ethereum other than Waves. How does that work?
Yeah, that's correct. At the moment, what we're doing is we're basically creating a dApp that uses Ethereum blockchain, right, for verifications and blocks for a smart contract that distributes the bonuses for the currency holders, for the time holders. That's the ICO token, and the same thing can be done on Waves and other platforms. So basically, it's a dApp on top of the blockchain.
Okay, I see. And it's gonna be able to work on Waves when they come out with smart contracts, or is it gonna work right away when Waves comes out?
Well, we're starting with Ethereum, right? Just because like there are a lot more professionals working with Ethereum than there are with Waves. But once the second one is definitely Waves coming along, right?
All right.
So as soon as we get proof of concept on Ethereum, we'll get moving on the Waves.
All right. It sounds pretty common. There's vdice.io is a new decentralized gambling service that is also using Ethereum to start out. Free market, the old NXT free market is also using Ethereum. So it seems to be the avenue people are going. I guess they're trying out smart contracts and the D apps or decentralized apps. I think Ethereum's the only one that can offer that at the moment, right?
Well, pretty much. Like I'm sure with enough kind of developer power and brain power, we can place it on any blockchain. But it's just easiest to do it with Ethereum at the moment, and hence that's why it's happening that way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It sounds great. So, how many people are part of your team?
We got way over 10 people already, right? And I mean, the concept is unique, right? And the concept is unique enough, and it has enough history. It has over 200 years of history, beginning from, early labor exchanges in Cincinnati, right, in America, and then like the more recent one is Ithaca in I think New York actually. And basically, as people hear about it, a lot of people want to join us, and I mean, and we're open to that. And when we see people with the qualities that we need, we love to have them on the team, essentially.
Okay. And the ICO starts December 15th and will run for 2 months, correct?
Yeah, man, that's correct. So we're starting December 15th and run for 2 months over Christmas and New Year.
And the token is going to be called Time. Am I correct?
That's right. The one offered as per ICO is time, and the product, the stable one, will be called Labor Hour, and it will be differentiated between the countries. So we're hitting the ground with the Labor Hour AU for Australia, and then Labor Hour US. So LH US for a ticker, LHEU for Europe ticker, and the LHGP for British Pound.
Very, very interesting. And each one of these are going to be separate blockchains?
No, they won't be separate. Well, essentially, they're going to be 4 of them on Ethereum, then 4 of them on Waves, etc.
Gotcha.
Not separate blockchain.
All right. So you guys have a location, like a place you guys work out of? I know Sasha just got an office, right?
Yeah. Like we got a few offices in Sydney and Melbourne. So I mean, in Sydney is our primary location, right? And I mean, but the rest of the team is all over the world. So,
Right.
I mean, it's hard to be in one office, all of us. But I mean, we work from Sydney. But I think, we're incorporating in Singapore, so we're going to have a Singapore office shortly as well.
All right. This sounds like a pre-existing business. Have you been doing this for a while? Is this like one of your fortes?
Well, yeah, mate. Like I said, we run recruitment and labor hire for the last 10 years, right? We also do a lot of industrial training in Australia with over 1,000 people trained a week. So we, in fact, the industry leaders in in the state of Victoria in Australia, and pretty close to it in New South Wales. So we do have. I mean, we hit the ground running with this. I mean, we have the capability and we have the budget to make sure that it works the way it should.
All right. You know what? That sounds a lot more promising now because I like pre-existing projects. You know that convert to the blockchain. That's what it's all about. Uh, People converting to blockchain technology. You know, it's essentially probably helping you out with taxes, right? And eliminating possibilities of some type of third party governmental system coming and taking it down, right?
Well, I mean, it's not even about the government. I mean, we're happy to work and discuss with the government, and in fact, we do talk. We are talking to Australian Tax Office to think of better methods to do it. It's just the way we like to think about it. It's just a natural progression, right? So at the moment, I mean, you mentioned quantitative easing before, right? I mean, when you think about it, it's pretty sad idea that all the economy over the past 45 years came down to essentially just printing money that apparently everybody believes in, and just throwing them at people, right? And I think it's just a natural progression of things where technology takes over the incumbent industry that is gone stale, and that is exactly what's happening. You see. So in terms of government, like I said, we are very open to work with all the government agencies to make sure that this project works. And like in terms of like, I mean, we're working with people's livelihoods here. You know what I mean? We're working with people who can get injured at work, that can get that can get tired, that can not show up, etc. Right? So we need to look into all these things, right? And it's a very sensitive area, and the government is definitely on it, and the government is taking a bit of interest in us. And I mean, it helps once again that we've been around for like over 10 years to get a seat at the table, the discussion with the government and regulatory bodies. That's what we're doing.
Oh, very nice, very cool. I approve. So
Thanks,
yeah, no, you're doing it. That's a good idea. That's so you're putting people's value on the blockchain. That's pretty awesome. A good. I think NXT tried doing a voting system at one point, a reputation system, right? It didn't work out too good. Uh, I I don't really remember. I don't think I know of any reputation other coins that have a reputation system, right? I think maybe Steam it might have one.
Yeah, Steam has some sort of a system similar to that. But once again, it's not even like when it comes down to it, what we're trying to do, right? It's going to sound very noble, but to tell the truth, that's the only way this can be achieved, right? So people start using it, right? Is we're trying to make sure that everyone gets a fair go, right? So from a gutter cleaner, from a toilet cleaner in India, right, to a high shot lawyer in New York, right? We want to make sure that everyone gets rewarded fairly for their contribution to society, and everyone has something to fall back on. In other words, imagine a farmer in Africa, right, that has absolutely nothing and has no chance of even seeing gold or any sort of dollar in person, right? But nonetheless, he can produce something and he can be useful in his own village, right? And that's and can get rewarded for that, right? And that's what we're trying to do. Like loosely, if you think about it as say computer value is calculated by the value of Bitcoin.
Oh, looks like we lost Sergey. That was getting good. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, mate. So yeah, as I was saying, where you lose, like basically we're trying to make it for the people, and as and we think that people would appreciate it and look into the opportunities for them there. That's
Okay,
that's that's
so before me personally, before I was a network engineer, right? I I was a baker. I made bread, cookies, cakes.
that's
Now,
quite a transition.
yeah, well, I was a family baker, you know, so I grew up in it when I was a baby.
Yeah, man.
Then I went to school for technology, you know, to computer school, and you know that's how it went. But if I was a baker, you know, how would I look forward? Like, what is it, what should I look forward to from this service?
Essentially, it's kind of a reserve system. Like let's think of hypothetical here, right? If you're a baker and you work in a bakery, I'm sure there are times at the bakery, for example, Christmas, when you start making a lot of buns, or Easter, for example, right, when you start
Right,
making a lot more buns.
busy season.
Bakery would That's right. So bakery would be in the market for extra set of hands. So a baker from your neighboring shop could put his time up for that period to help you guys out essentially in a time, right? And then you'd be able to engage him. That's pretty much how it works, and that's pretty much the idea of how it works.
And then they would pay for my time. Whatever other bakery wants to use my time, they'd be able to pay for my time through your system, and they can see my reputation and everything, how awesome I am.
That's correct. Yes. So in other words, if you're that awesome that you pump out say 10 bonds as opposed to average 5, then they should be paying you more than they would pay for an average 5. And that will be decided like that will be sorted on the open market on the labor X.
Gotcha. So if I could make 60 cakes in 30 minutes, I'd be pretty I'd be pretty amazing guy on your system.
Well, I'm pretty sure you would. Yeah, you'd be able to command a much higher wage than a person who could make 30, right? Or 10.
Yeah, I'm just showing up. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Those
not
were
bad.
that was a past life. That was a past life. But man, my father taught me really good. You know, people couldn't believe how fast I make a cake. You just give me like not even a minute, I'll have the cake finished, and I
Man,
write happy birthday.
you're a cake monster. We should sign you up right now in the cake and give you a cool reputation off the bat.
Yeah, I would do it. You know what? I would do it. You know why? Because it's a different life. You know, it was a nice. It was fun. It was more of a fun life. You know, where now dealing with computers and you got bosses, right? It's a whole different world in the
Well,
corporate life.
what we what we're trying to do is basically to make temporary work, right, is more attractive than stable, than full time. Right, because one of the problems with full time, right, and salaries is that when the companies realize that you're on full time and you're not going anywhere, right, they're starting they start to work you like a racehorse essentially. You know what I mean? And it's not like you have much choice. So
No,
what we're
there's no
trying to
choice.
do is we're trying to give, and that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that you're rewarded per hour correctly, and that way you may need to only work a certain number of hours, less than you would do in a salary position, and
So,
that's all it comes down to.
so if people bought me through your system, how's the tax work out? Do they got to pay for taxes when they buy me through
Well, the tax,
Chronobank?
see, depends. See, it depends what jurisdiction we're talking about. So, for example, if we're talking about Australia, right? In Australia, transactions in cryptocurrency are treated same way as they are in dollars, in Australian dollars, right? And the rate is calculated as a as a rate taken from a reputable exchange. So what that means basically is the ball would be in your corner to declare your earnings, right, off the bat, off the start. But once again, we are talking to tax office here in Australia, and I think that'll be the discussion with the IRS in America as well, on how to do it better, and simpler.
You
I
know,
mean, my view is that
sounds like a good system for prostitution.
sounds like a good system for prostitution. I,
I'm just
I,
saying you
I
could
think
buy a couple hours here and there.
I think, yeah, but then the rating would be very, very important in that case, wouldn't it? And
Yeah, no,
if
yeah.
you wouldn't want to get it wrong, right?
You're gonna have to
I mean, you,
increase
you
the
might.
rating. It's got to be 1 through 30. You know.
That's right. That's right. And you might want to include some health information in regard to that as well.
Oh,
So
that
maybe
would
a
be a
rate for health
great
information too.
service. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Maybe next time. I mean, maybe that's going to be in next year. I mean, having said that, there's no reason why working girls may not be on this service as well. But I mean, in the countries that they're allowed to work in, like for
Right.
example
Yeah.
in Australia, they can. I mean, in America they can't. So
There,
yeah,
there, are, there, are,
something
there
like
are
that.
some states here that it's legal.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. I'm not too sure. I think what Nevada is one of them, is it?
Yeah. I think you're right. Nevada. Yeah, they have those houses. They have, the houses you go to. They take care of you.
And they call brothels, man. Come on.
All right. I was gonna say I was thinking
Houses.
whorehouse. But it's all right.
That's a good
Yeah,
name
I
for it.
mean, like back in the day, that was common. That was common, though. Like back in the day, a father would take his son for his first experience. You pick out whatever lady you want.
No, definitely. The thing is that like at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we here we are, right, in a world where we got runaway, power hungry governments trying to control people's lives, right? And what, like, once again,
Telling
it's
people,
I don't think.
telling people what to do with their property once again.
Well, that's right.
People forget the first property you ever own in your whole life is your body, and you have the right to
Well,
do whatever you want with it.
well, that's right. You know what I mean? And like then you got a bunch of Christians saying that it's wrong, right? So I mean, it's a it's an like it's a moral dilemma for a lot of people, right? To me, I think it's quite simple, right? So you can do whatever the hell you want to do, but like once again, you get the runaway governments and policies that they're trying to control every aspect of your life. I mean, in
Right,
Australia,
exactly. No, that's one thing I want to see change. That's why the vdice.io, the decentralized gambling, is important also, because it's a niche that here in New York it's illegal. I mean, I can't set up a gambling table with people on the block for money because they're gonna lock me up if I do that. But
well, that's correct.
the government could sell hundreds of lotto tickets and keep people addicted all day long.
That's right. And I mean, like in terms of your gambling, I'll just maybe start with Philippines in terms of gambling. Fair enough, the ticket size is not that it's not as good as US, right? But I mean, you got a lot of people in Philippines.
Right. Well, little by little, we got to start taking our rights back. Uh, you know,
Well,
people.
fingers crossed. I mean, it'll be a better world. It'll be a better world once we do, because I mean, here in Australia, once again, we've got a total nanny state, you know, and the government dictates what you can and can't do, like you won't believe, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know, dude.
So
1/3 of my paycheck, bro. You know how much that hurts? It hurts, and it doesn't help me at all.
yeah, well, yeah, taxes is one thing. Like what you can and can't do is another thing. For example, in Australia, they make the pubs between, say, in the danger areas, right? They make the pubs between, say, 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. only serve water. So if you're in that pub, that means that on Friday night between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. you cannot buy anything from the bar apart from water, just
Right.
to make sure that you're sober. So I mean, it always comes down. The regulation always comes down to the lowest denominator, right? So I mean, if you got a dickhead in a crowd, I'm sorry, if you got a fool in a crowd, right? The law is obviously going to cater for them the first. Now that makes everyone else, well, not catered for, right? Or being treated like a fool, essentially.
Yep. And we have that too over here. Between I think 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. 2 a.m. I think the bars have to close and no more selling alcohol.
Well, I'm sure you do. And the problem, and the thing is, it removes the responsibility from individual, right? So individual is like a vegetable now. So I mean, like if you fall down in the street, it's not your fault. You know, if you do something, it's not really your fault, right? If you like, and then like it just creates a society that is, well, that grows vegetables effectively. You know what I mean? Which is not really great in my opinion.
Basically, what they do over here, if they close the doors at 2 a.m. and they just don't let the cops in anymore. And anybody still in the bar gets to stay for as long as they want.
Oh, there you go. See, the cops have a lot more authority here. So they they can come in through closed doors.
Oh wow, no, you need a warrant. Can't. This is private property. So
Well, it's a
let's get.
little
I think we got a
little
little off
different here
topic.
though.
I think we got very off topic, but it's really nice to get
Yeah,
to
man.
know you.
Yeah, likewise. Nice to meet you, man.
I
I
mean,
guess
you seem like you have a good head on your shoulder, and you know, I like the idea of selling people's time. I mean that's really good and giving them. But so when they start though, everyone's going to be on a clean slate, right? When Chronobank starts, you know, what I was trying to get to before is there's no real way of knowing if you have 10 years or 20 years experience because everyone is going to start on a clean slate, right?
well, effectively correct, right? But that will all quickly change, right? Because I mean, you'd be able to draw some information from the first order. You know, so but if you start on a clean slate and you're sure of your powers, so to speak, I mean, you'd be the first one to make sure that everybody sees your great reputation.
And are you going to have some type of website where people can look up, certain labors that they're interested in using? Like, say I needed a baker, right, that knows how to make semolina bread. Like, is there a way to find a guy who knows how to make semolina bread through a website? Like, or do like, how does that work? How would I find somebody?
Well, that's what LaborX is all about, right? So you write the professions and you write the tags that people would tag while registering, and you go from there. So effectively, yes, the short answer is yes. You would be able to look up anyone who can make bread.
So that's what LaborX is. That's the whole idea behind LaborX. It's that's like the website that gets it all done. You go on the website, you find the type of labor you're looking for, and that's it.
At the price,
Right.
at the price that you're looking for, your budget, etc. Yes, that's what it. Basically, think think Nasdaq board, but with labor instead of tech stocks.
All right. That sounds great. That sounds awesome, man. Okay, I want you to come back on and explain a little more. So what's going to happen now? I'm going to get quite a few listeners for your show, and eventually we're going to have a lot of people with questions. So I'd like you to come back, maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe
Yeah, no problem.
right before the ICO, and
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm like just write to me and we'll set it up. I'll make sure I don't delete the program.
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, don't delete it.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right, Sergey. Hey, it was nice to meet you, brother. I'm really happy to have met you. I've heard a lot about Chronobank, and I've been in this this environment for a very long time. Core Radio is over 2 years old now.
No, that's good.
Hundreds of shows. Yeah. So
No, I appreciate
we have
your interest.
Yeah,
I
well,
appreciate your interest, and thank you for inviting me. And I mean, I'd love to be back.
Cool, man. I'll see you I'll see you before the ICO.
All right, thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you for. Is there a place before we go? Is there a place people could go to research more about Chronobank?
Well, I mean, the place is called Google, right? Google and just Google Chronobank, and from there, from our site, or chronobank.io, right? And from there, you can join our Slack. You can join our other social media. That's we try to be pretty active in the space, and yeah, you can ask any question you like, and then communicate and discuss with us, whatever you want.
All right, and that's chronobank.hero.
.io. So India, Oscar.
To join the Slack, that's chronobank.herokuapp. So Hero Cup. I don't even know how to say that. HeroCup.com.
Yes,
Something like that, right? So chronobank.herokuapp.com, and you could join the Slack and get involved and ask you questions directly to Sergei. And you could say, if you want to be anonymous, you could just send me a message, and we'll ask it on the next show. That's all.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate your interest once again, and yeah, please shoot any questions you guys might have.
All right, Sergei, you have a wonderful night, brother. Thank you for coming on. Love you, man.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Bye.
Waves Platform is a decentralized platform with loads of real-world solutions running on blockchain. Wavesnode.net is providing a professional node on the Waves platform, hosted in our own data center. If you are holding Waves tokens, you can lend them with the LPOS system to our big node. The leased tokens are always in your account and under your control. It is like leasing staking power. By leasing on our powerful, stable and trustful node, you are generating transfer fees and will be rewarded with Waves. The bigger our nodes balance, the higher your rewards. Wavesnode.net can help you achieve increasing your stack and making the Waves platform stronger in just a few easy steps. So please, open your Waves Lite client and lease your tokens at wavesnode.net. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at wavesnode.net.